With the NHL entry draft now, trade chatter around the hockey world has indeed picked up. Some teams, such as Philadelphia, New Jersey, and Columbus, have already kicked things off, but as we all know, it's only the start of the excitement to come. In this video, we're going to look at some more NHL players that could be traded, their current situations, and where they may end up. And with that, here are 4 NHL players who could be moved very soon. Last year, during the season, a narrative began to slowly take effect in Manitoba, as rumors began to leak out due to the dysfunction surrounding the Winnipeg Jets. One unavoidable conclusion presented itself. A conclusion that ultimately resulted in Mark Scheifele, Blake Wheeler, and other members of the main core being shipped out in order to restructure the team for the better. And unsurprisingly, according to various insiders and Hellebuyck's recent actions, it's looking like the goaltender is going to be vacating Winnipeg as well, due to the fact that the Jets netminder is refusing to sign an extension with his longtime team. The speculation is that he'll be traded is at an ultimate high. Scott Billeck from the Winnipeg Sun believes that Hellebuyck could very well be Winnipeg's biggest bargaining chip over both Wheeler and Scheifele. And for good reason. If we take a look at the last 5 seasons and compare him to his peers, well, at first glance his goals against average appears mediocre at 2.72. However, when glancing at his save percentage, Hellebuyck came in 10th. And impressively, if we check the amount of saves he's made during that time, well, let's just say he's been outworking everyone, as Hellebuyck has made nearly 1,000 more saves than the closest goalie to him in Andrei Vasilevsky, with 8,520. In my opinion, both goalies are among the best in the league today. The biggest difference between them is that Vasilevsky has had a good team in front of him, and Hellebuyck has had an inconsistent one at best. With that being said, the former Vezina recipient will be a hot commodity this summer on the market. NHL insider Elliotte Friedman has reported that GM Kevin Cheveldayoff won't be shying away from offers for the goaltender in the slightest. Shayna Goldman from The Athletic has also listed some teams that could be interested in acquiring Hellebuyck's services. The Buffalo Sabres, Pittsburgh Penguins, New Jersey Devils, and Vegas Golden Knights are among the slew of teams that could be offering up trade packages for the goaltender that will be a UFA in 2024. It was around this time last year that we as hockey fans witnessed the first of many getting shipped out of the Windy City, as the Hawks' former second-round selection was traded to the Ottawa Senators, with the main return prize being the 7th overall pick of last year's draft. However, after an off-season with the Sens, and obviously reported trade requests being made by DeBrincat, it's looking like his stay in Ottawa could be short-lived. Now, when we say off-season, we're mainly referring to not his point totals, which on the surface don't look too bad, but rather his goals scored. As most of us know, DeBrincat throughout his career has been coveted by other teams for his goal-scoring ability. On 2 separate occasions, for instance, while he was in Chicago, the forward hit the 40-goal mark. Therefore, considering that he was only able to notch 27 goals in a full season's play, it was a step back from his pace he had in Chi-Town. However, this was a result of circumstance more than anything, as his initial centerman was going to be Josh Norris, who was injured for the majority of last season. With that being said, it's looking like DeBrincat's desire is to put the Ottawa experiment behind him for good. Interestingly, NHL insider Pierre Lebrun brought up an extra wrinkle in the unfolding story. If general manager Pierre Dorion does trade DeBrincat, he would want him to be signed through this trade, so he could get maximum value back in return, LeBron says. Think of the Matthew Tkachuk deal from the Calgary Flames to the Florida Panthers last offseason. Don't know who exactly is on that list, but that list has been submitted, he says. With that being said, this gives us fans the opportunity to speculate on the teams that DeBrincat would agree to joining. A few that would make sense are Winnipeg, Detroit, Nashville, and Los Angeles. Winnipeg, due to the fact that, yet again, Dubois is unhappy with the team he's on, and swapping him for DeBrincat, along with other pieces mixed in the trade, could be a short-term solution for both parties involved. As I mentioned before, there's going to be a great deal of construction going on when it comes to the Jets roster this summer. However, unlike this Jets narrative that's relatively new, the one involving Scheifele being traded elsewhere really isn't. Many of you may recall the intense trade rumors that seeped into the hockey world a little more than a year ago, involving Scheifele. The idea at the time was that in order to bring about the shakeup that was needed in Manitoba, trading Scheifele would be the ultimate solution. Obviously though, over a year later, and Scheifele is still on the same team that once drafted him. At 30 years of age, Scheifele is coming off of his best season yet, as far as goals are concerned. As a forward, notched an impressive 42 goals in 81 games played. And unsurprisingly, his shooting percentage was also a career best at 20.4%. Similarly to Hellebuyck, Scheifele will be a UFA in 2024 and has 1 year left on his current contract. However, unlike his teammate, who doesn't have one, Scheifele has a modified no-trade clause built into his 8-year, $49 million contract, meaning that if he were to be traded, he would be able to decide on 10 teams that he wouldn't be traded to. Some logical destinations that make sense for Scheifele are Boston, Pittsburgh, Carolina, and Detroit. Last video, we touched on William Nylander, and really, not a lot about his situation has changed. However, we didn't go over an important piece of the Nylander story. Back in 2018, when it was time for the forward's first big payday, well, things didn't exactly go so well. Reason being, Nylander's agent held out for months, demanding the largest dollar amount possible. His client at the time had just recorded his second 61-point season, and therefore, he believed that Nylander was worth much more than former GM Kyle Dubas was willing to offer. Due to the stalemate that ultimately transpired, Nylander missed a decent amount of games, as he didn't join his team until early December of 2018. However, despite the delayed start, Nylander was able to cash in and secured $12 million for his first year of the contract alone. Coming off of his best season yet out of his entire career, Nylander impressively was able to record 87 points in 82 games played, with 40 of those being goals, mind you. Therefore, we can definitely say that Nylander and his agent will be expecting a decent chunk of change as compensation for his next contract. At 27 years of age, Nylander is in his prime and could offer any prospective team an instant jolt of offensive prowess. Also, he's nearing the end of his 6-year, $45 million contract, as he's set to become a UFA officially next year. Now, reportedly, the main interest on the horizon for the Leafs is obtaining a top defenseman. If Nylander is desiring more of a salary than the Leafs can offer him, it's possible that in order to receive some sort of return, GM Bradshaw Living could start listening in on offers. The Calgary Flames could be a potential suitor, especially if some of the Flames that are UFAs decide not to re-up with their team. This would allow for the Flames to have the means to sign Nylander to the dollar amount that he desires. The Chicago Blackhawks might also be a team that would be a good fit, due to the fact that they've traded pretty much every core player away. The Hawks are going to begin picking up the pieces, after they draft Connor Bedard, that is. Knowing that Bedard is going to be joining the fold, GM Kyle Davidson might try and give Bedard a line mate that could complement him well. In conclusion, rest assured this won't be the last of the trade talk coming this offseason. However, in the next video, we'll be shifting gears a little and taking a break from the trade chatter. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.